Episode 190 of the TV Dudes podcast, recorded July 5th, 2018. Wicked Games.
What a wicked game you play. Make me watch TV this way.
And I want the good place back.
What a wicked thing to do, Kyle, to make me watch all these game shows with my mama. Les isn't here, but we're still singing every episode.
We are singing. We're going to reference an 80s song in every episode title for as long as we can go.
It's a theme.
And folks, it's been a while since Kyle's been on the episode.
Yeah, I know. At least a few weeks.
Yeah, we missed you, buddy.
Oh, I missed you guys.
Welcome
yeah,
back.
like my conundrum with ATX Fest is my brother and my two sisters make a trip to visit me. They give me two options, the week of South by Southwest or the week of ATX Fest.
Yep.
And you saw which one I picked, and I haven't been back since before that. Yeah.
Dude, I get it, though. I mean, it's a tough call. South by, you get a whole week of stuff.
Yeah.
ATX right now is only a weekend, but soon enough, if it keeps growing.
That's
Oh,
true.
man.
Also, I didn't want them to come during South by Southwest because it would have been a completely different experience for them.
Yeah, you can still get around during ATX Fest. South by Southwest, the town is different.
It just shuts down.
Yeah.
That town is Austin, Texas, where us, the TV Dudes, proudly record out of. That's right, we are the TV Dudes, and I'm Grant.
I'm Randy.
And I'm Kyle.
And I'm impressed with Grant's segues.
You like
I
that?
know.
That was nice.
And folks, this week, we're kind of talking about a lot about game shows.
Hell yeah!
We're talking about $100,000 Pyramid, Alec Baldwin's Match Game, and To Tell the Truth. Are all of these on ABC? I don't know.
Yeah, I think all these are ABC.
Yeah, well, I watched them on Hulu, but I think they're all ABC.
Here's why this is so important to me. I pitch ideas to you guys all the time, and I know beforehand they're never going to watch this. This is one when you guys are like, sure. I was like, what? Like, no way.
And why? Why are we talking about games? Okay, real quick. I want a quick disclaimer. We're also going to talk about Glow. We're going to talk about the entire season. We are talking real TV.
Of course we're going to talk about Glow.
But Randy, why are we talking game shows this week?
There's nothing on right now, you guys. Like in the land of peak TV, I'm rewatching season 4 of 30 Rock right now. I never do that. There's my you guys know that I make the schedule and I have a list of like what's coming up, and I look at a website whose name I've forgotten. Metacritic has a list of TV premiere dates that they update.
Right.
And so I look and see. Next week, the only thing coming up is a show on the CW and Netflix's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And July 19th is just a space. There's nothing on there. It's just a space.
Well, the thing I've been complaining to you about is that you, when you're making the schedule, are like, all right, we're going to watch 12 seasons of television this week and talk about it. And I'm like, Jesus, Randy, I don't have that time for anything.
We do have some heavy weeks throughout the year.
I just try to space it out a little bit more, but it's too spaced out.
We had Glow, which is thankfully a half-hour per episode, roughly. They can't go up to 45 minutes.
They're not making enough of that.
But
in 2 days, Grant. Come on.
10 episodes. I was actually able to manage watching that this week, and I felt like success. And then I was like, oh, shit, I got to watch 3 other game show things. And I cranked them out in the past, 2 hours before we recorded.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, all right, I get the gist of this game show. We can move on. Yeah, folks, so we're going to be talking about all of that. And we're going to try and make it interesting for you folks. So please don't tune out because you're like, oh, they're talking about game shows. No, tune in.
Oh, it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be great. But before we get into all of that, I want to say, hey, you guys are listening to us right now. And if you're enjoying this, why not help out the show? A couple ways
why
you
not?
can do that. Go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. Write a little review. We'll read that here on the show. You can also go to patreon.com/tvdudes. There you can make a per episode pledge. Give us $1. Give us $2. Give us $12. Give us $575 per episode. Those are very specific. People like specific numbers. That's what I learned.
Good marketing.
Make something for everyone.
Yeah. Give us all of that money, and in exchange, Randy and I and Kyle, because Kyle's here this week, we'll probably do some trivia challenge face-off about something absurd.
We'll take a BuzzFeed quiz or talk about our favorite Disney princesses or some other crazy shit.
And if ever you guys want to recommend topics for us to discuss on Patreon, please send them our way.
Because otherwise we will just find BuzzFeed quizzes.
We're going to do something ridiculous. We're going to read some script from some 1970s failed TV pilot, and that's what we're going to do. Anyway, thank you for all of your support. That's patreon.com/tvdudes. We also want to say we're proud members of the newly renamed Electric Sweater Network.
Electric Sweater!
Nice. And this is a collective of TV-centric podcasts. Like I said, we're proud to be members of this, and we even have some spin-off projects. Les does The Good Die Young, which is dedicated to one season and done shows, and I think he's already starting on his second season of that.
I believe he is.
Our friends.
Wait a second. Doesn't that defeat the purpose? You're not supposed to have a second season of that show. I guess I will.
That's funny. Femme TV, which talks about women in the television and film industry across the board. That's Melissa Giramonti up in Canada.
Yeah, it's our Canadian pal.
Canadian liaison up there. And we got TV pilot watching with Key and Clyde.
Yep.
And This Is Us, they also do.
Mm-hmm.
And what else we got?
There's a Star Trek Discovery podcast, which is on hold right now.
Right.
There you go.
I was waiting for it.
But it will be back.
Someone's going to mention I'm on that.
And there's a Mr. Robot podcast.
There's also Mr. Robot. So, yeah, go check out all of those guys. A lot of great shows on there. Show them some love. Go to their iTunes. Give them little 5-star bumpy bumps. And... yeah, I said bumpy bumps.
Yep. Yeah, that was interesting.
Go for it.
You know what I like about all these shows?
Yeah.
Is, sometimes you watch a TV show like Star Trek Discovery or Mr. Robot, and you don't want to quit watching. You're like, I got to stay in it.
Yep.
You turn on one of these podcasts, the show just keeps going.
It's true.
Right. Okay, so here's the thing. I do too many podcasts.
We're aware.
I even started helping Mike Moody, who runs our Electric Sweater Network and also helps me with this little podcast studio we got here. I helped him with a new project podcast. He's talking about podcasting stuff in the industry. And I went, what am I doing here? And then I see that my boy, my lover / showrunner of shows like Lost and The Leftovers and the upcoming Watchmen show is doing that show.
I've heard
and
of
I'm
this
like,
guy.
how can I not do a podcast dedicated to talking about theories about Watchmen? That guy's my boy. And I was like regretting not doing Leftovers, but I should not do another podcast, right? Talk me off this cliff.
You should do it. You should totally do it.
That's what I was thinking.
What are you going to call it? Lindelof in it?
Lindelof in it.
I Lindelof it.
I was going to call it the people that watch this show. Why wouldn't you just call it Watchmen?
No, you got to do a Lindelof specific. It's got to be all about Lindelof shows. It starts off with Watchmen, and then it expands.
I
Season
Lindelof you.
Watching Men.
Or you just Grant Stocks Lindelof. That's what you just call it. Grant Stocks Lindelof.
Yeah, Grant's got a broner for Lindelof. I don't know. All right, well, let's move on to the news. How's that for a segue? Randy, what do we got?
All right, so speaking of Lost and Damon Lindelof,
Oh, man, he's the best.
Screen Rant, my favorite news source.
You love them.
I do. I love them.
I love putting news articles for you because you hate them so much.
I love to hate the Screen Rant because it's some of the worst writing on the internet. So Evangeline Lilly, there's a headline says, Evangeline Lilly reveals if she'd be up for a reboot now of Lost. And first of all, that's a terrible headline. That's obvious clickbait. Oh, well, let's see what she thinks. She's not. Of course she's not. What, if it's a reboot, she's not going to be interested, for one thing, because she's not in a reboot.
Yeah, a reboot is redoing the entire thing. Understand the difference between a reboot and what okay, I was like, understand the difference. I'm like, what are the other terms?
And a revamp.
Or revitalizing or a return.
Yeah. We have to go back, Grant.
Yeah.
Have any of the great water cooler shows of like this, golden age of television, have any of them been remade yet? I mean, I guess Better Call Saul is kind of a
That's a prequel, though. That's
Prequel.
that's actually the continuation in some ways.
Yeah.
Oh, like remaking Sopranos?
Yeah, like what they're talking about doing with Lost here.
Yeah, that it would be way too soon, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
the funny thing is, this isn't like nobody's even working on this. Entertainment Weekly asked, and this is another thing Screenwriters do, is like they see a random comment on Entertainment Weekly and they make a news article about it. So they asked her about it, and she said she would never say never, but that she doesn't really like them in general. None of that is. Who cares? Like Evangeline Lilly's view on a Lost reboot has nothing to do with anything. That's not a story.
It's such a non-story.
Yeah. And her opinion, by the way, is, well, I don't really like him, but I'd never say never. That's not I could have guessed that was her answer.
You know what's great? There was this other article I was looking at to include on here, and it was about like in Europe, Netflix is releasing this new Ultra package that you can sign up for, and they're like kind of testing it out there. And I was like, oh, what's this about? So I clicked on the article to start reading about it. And the first paragraph is all about like saying in a lot more words what the title already said, that they're planning to do this. And then before they explain what that is, they jump into another paragraph that's just filler about what Netflix is and why Netflix is like growing. And I'm like, oh, you guys are getting paid by the word count.
The screenwriters are clearly getting paid by the
Or
word.
writing for my grandparents. No offense, Grandma and Grandpa.
Or really trying to like just vamping for time here.
The internet is.
You know how it's the infinite monkeys that might write Shakespeare? I think an infinite number of monkeys might write Screen Rant. And they're
Are
just
these people
typing.
based out of Austin? Because we're going to run into them at some point, and you're going to have a knife.
I'm going to definitely get stabbed, yeah. But speaking of Netflix, Netflix is apparently more popular than broadcast and cable in TV viewing.
Yeah, it's the new golden child.
Yeah, it's there was a survey done by May Cohen and Company, and they said that basically 27% of those surveyed chose Netflix, 17% chose YouTube. They're probably all 10 and under. If my kids are any example.
Yeah.
Basic cable at 12.6 and broadcast TV at 7.5. Hulu is at 7.6, which is interesting. It's just above broadcast.
The king is dead. Long live the new Netflix king.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Netflix has tons of content. It's a ridiculous amount of content.
Yeah.
Luckily, they give a spattering. Like for every dud, we get one that's pretty good or interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's the fear is like, let's say this trend continues and 99% watch Netflix now. Well, Netflix can choose to make nothing but shit. Like we're already all watching them.
Yep.
But yeah, no, they're pretty good at balancing it out, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Amazon is not listed on this anywhere. I assume it's somewhere in there. Was it not even mentioned? But Amazon has they're aiming for young readers. They've just ordered pilots for 3 young adult TV shows called College, Panic, and The Wilds.
CW's like, you motherfuckers.
Come at me, brah.
Panic is based on Lauren Oliver's novel, a Hunger Games-esque story featuring a deadly high-stakes game where graduating seniors compete, resulting in one winner's life being changed forever.
Okay.
The Wilds is the challenge of growing up female in a social experiment surrounding a group of teenagers on a remote island as they discover themselves and each other. That means sex.
Oh, okay. Nice. I get it.
College gives viewers a look at 6 roommates surviving college and each other, providing viewers with a peek into the current challenges facing a new generation.
And sex.
Yeah.
It's nice that they're taking chances on new and original ideas that have never been done before.
Right. Nobody's ever done college like
so edgy.
Yeah, Undeclared or
or the CW.
or everything the CW does. Yeah.
Well, I like the idea of them tackling this sex thing. I've had that before, and I thought it was pretty cool.
It's pretty neat.
You know, MTV made this show one time called Undressed, and I don't think I've seen anything as sexy on television since.
I watched Undressed way too much, and fuck that show.
Hell yeah.
Man.
What a weird show to give a hell yeah to.
Okay, guys, it's game show time. We're all singing different games. Guys, we need to rehearse this a little bit better next time. We'll come back and do it.
No, it was a medley. It was a madrigal. We were all singing at the same time.
Yeah.
It was meant to happen. In fact, the new game is name all 3 game show songs we were singing. Folks, yeah, we're going to talk about $100,000 Pyramid, Match Game, and then To Tell the Truth.
Which is the name of a game show, not a command.
Yeah, and then we're going to follow it up with our review of Season 2 of Glow over on Netflix. But first up, $100,000 Pyramid.
Okay, so we have to preface this with Kyle. We're doing our rundown, and I'm like, hey, guys, I'm about to put the questions post up. All I've got on this week is Glow. What else are we going to watch? And Kyle's like, have you guys been watching these ABC game shows? There's like $100,000 Pyramid and... like To Tell the Truth, and then Alec Baldwin has one, and I'm like, sure, we can watch that. Is it on Hulu? And so unsuspecting, I go and I turn on Hulu, and sure enough, there are game shows. Yeah. There are a lot of game shows, and they have what I would call A-list talent on these game shows.
Nice. Well,
it's all self-promotion, man.
Something I've been a huge fan of for a while are British game shows, or like... Actually,
like
no, yeah,
QI
game shows.
And shit?
Yeah, or what's the Big Fat Quiz? There's a handful of them on like, oh my gosh, now I'm running a blank. But this, the way that they incorporate celebrities in there, it really adds something. So with these new game shows, which admittedly I was on a work trip in a hotel, and this just came on, and I got hooked.
Oh yeah,
but
I can see that.
I like how they're incorporating the celebrities into these different shows.
These are the kind of shows I would watch if I watched regular TV. If I did the thing where I turned on TV and just kind of left it on, yeah, I would watch these shows.
If we were trapped between this and Judge Judy,
yeah, this is way better. This is way better.
But here's the thing: so, like $100,000 Pyramid, it's just like the $10,000 Pyramid from when we were younger. It's 2 teams square off against each other, going for the center prize. In this version, one of the teammates on each of the teams is a celebrity working with, the hoi polloi,
yes,
the common man, the scum of the earth, us regular folk,
the people with multi-level marketing jobs. Let's face it.
Yeah. So those people are gonna team up with them, and Michael Strahan's the host of this one.
Michael Strahan is the host of this one.
He's charming, man.
Yeah, but what is he doing hosting a game show?
This is money, man.
He gets pimped out on a ton of different shows.
Yeah,
like whenever there's like a co-host needed for like a 4th of July week or something.
Well, he was Good Morning America forever, and from there he quit on Kelly Ripa, and she freaked out.
He's great at this. He's very charming.
Yeah.
He keeps things moving. He's good at this job.
This is going to be a repeated theme for my review of all of these game shows. But it's funny that, Kyle, you brought up British game shows. Because I feel like when I watch those British game shows, they really give an opportunity for all of those celebrities to show a particular aspect of their wit and charm and allow them to actually express themselves a bit.
Like when they get the questions wrong, it's more entertaining than when they get them right.
Right.
Yeah.
And here, with the exception of maybe To Tell the Truth, which we'll get to in a bit, I didn't feel like I got to really get the side of the celebrity so much as like in $100,000 Pyramid, it felt like when they were talking to Strahan, the host, the celebrities and the contestants are all saying kind of canned, rehearsed lines ahead of time.
It felt a little scripted, for sure.
And then, it's like getting to see them do gameplay. And I know, Randy, you and I saw the Snoop Dogg and Questlove one. They seem Snoop was pretty good at it.
To repeat again, we watched a show where Snoop Dogg and Questlove played a game with a couple random people while Michael Strahan looked on. This was bonkers.
So my favorite part of this show... the mechanics of it is it's essentially catchphrase, if you've ever played that game, where they're they take turns with different categories, but then they have the winner's circle is what they call it.
Yep.
So essentially you have a celebrity who we can assume, has multiple cars and a very nice home, and a bit of security, with somebody who's like a college student who's eating ramen. And now this person has a chance to win $25,000, $50,000. And the celebrities, they just act so cool. Like the Questlove Snoop Dogg one was all right, but the Leslie Jones one was funny because I don't want to spoil it for people who want to watch it. But like the celebrities are just so chill in that situation.
What do they care?
Yeah, and the normal people are freaking out.
Yeah.
So when they don't get it, that's just so funny because the normal people don't want to make the celebrity feel bad.
Yeah.
But they're like, you just made me lose $50,000.
The dude who was like making ties seemed very annoyed with his partners whenever he was playing. Like that dude was there to win. He had a plan. He was going to launch his crazy tie company, and Snoop Dogg ruined it all for him.
Yeah, I find with every episode I've seen, there's usually one person, either a celebrity or a normal person within the group that's just the best at it. And whether they're teaming up with
They just held back.
Yeah. It's just like there's one person who's usually let loose. And
the show, and I actually had a lot of fun watching $100,000 Pyramid. Snoop Dogg was highly entertaining and was surprisingly good at this. But what I really want is I want the talking $100,000 Pyramid show, the after show, where the celebrities aren't there and they talk to the normal people and you find out how they really felt about all this shit. Because I think Kyle, you nailed it. It's like, yeah, Snoop was good. He went and got on his rocket boat after this, and I lost out on my chance to fund my dream business. Yeah, like that's the show I want to see.
Like, what if Snoop Dogg came and he wasn't high? Like, normally it's like somebody shows up high and it's like, you made me lose because you were. Yeah. What if he wasn't high and it's like that's why the guy lost?
Yeah,
because Snoop wasn't medicated properly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just was a little bit underwhelmed. I feel like once I got the hang of what the show is, it becomes a formula. I'm not really that surprised, and I wasn't rooting for anyone. Like, I don't know. I can fall. I can end up watching like Price is Right. Yeah. And I used to just fall into watching episode after episode after episode of that. But I felt like it varied enough, and here it feels very contained.
Yeah,
and I don't feel like I'm really a participant in $100,000. Like I can watch Who Wants to Win a Million, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, whatever, and I can play in the trivia and try and guess those questions,
right,
and get like really invested in each round,
right.
But like with this, I see the word, I see the answer, and I'm just watching someone else struggle to get it.
That's a reasonable.
So at that point, I was like, okay, I get the hang of this, but this was one of those game shows I didn't like when I was younger, when it was on as 10,000, so I wasn't into it here. And I was really turned off by the intro where they had canned answers ready to go and nothing was actually witty. It's like whoever was writing for them, whatever they were supposed to say on their introductions, it was all weak.
Well, that's a good thing to point out because this is like in between peak TV, so it's not going to have the same money. They're not going to be trying as hard as like some of the other stuff we watch.
But people are breaking in on this. Like these writers who are writing for these game shows, they're all trying to get staffed on shows. Like that some of these names are going to wind up on shows on network TV.
I don't know. I'm kind of with Grant. I imagine the guy who like writes the punch up for this. He's been doing it for like 30 years, and he's like, I ain't going nowhere. I've hit the ceiling. Like I'm just gonna, whatever. He's got a gap in his teeth, so don't eat corn.
He's the Bruce. He's the Bruce.
Yeah,
Lynch.
something like that.
Take that, Strahan.
Yeah.
So, but that does bring us to Tell the Truth because that one you can watch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you want to skip over Match Game?
Let's talk about.
Okay, let's
did
talk
you get to
Match
watch
Game.
That one? Yeah.
So, Match Game was the one I couldn't get through.
This is hosted by Alec Baldwin, and this is the one where he brings on 6 celebrities, and the 2 regular folk contestants get a question, and the open-ended answer of the question allows the celebrities to write in what they think an answer might be. And if the contestant guesses the same as one of the 6 celebrities, they win the prize.
Yeah, it's a neat idea, but I found the banter on this one especially canned.
It's almost like Cards Against Humanity if it was safe and boring.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yes.
Yeah, I hate to kind of sell this, like feel like I'm not giving it a fair shake, but yeah, this was my least favorite.
It was weak,
and I almost didn't send it to you. Yeah, that's the reason I sent it to you is because. Yeah. Like, you would think that he would be great in something like this. He has this NPR show that he's doing that I only heard one, but I really enjoyed it. Yeah. But I think the main problem with this is you give everybody too much room to like improvise. So like you have these normal people off the street who are in the same room with celebrities, so they're already going to be a little nervous. And then they got to come up with some Family Feud style answer. And then all these celebrities start giving their answers to match. And it just doesn't match very often.
Yeah, everyone's saying stuff just to kind of riff and make something funny, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're trying to show off their wit. They're not trying to have the same answer as the contestant.
I also thought, I think Baldwin, while you'd think he'd be perfect for this, I think his sort of ironic detachment, you've got to have a sort of cheesy sincerity to make a game show work.
Yeah, he's kind of a smarmy dickhead.
Yeah, it doesn't work here. He's too detached from it.
So James Vanderbeek was on an episode I watched.
Yeah, that one was not great.
Yeah, and he goes up, he's like doing his little walk around and like introduce the celebrities. And he's like, James Vanderbeek, you grew up doing emotional dramas. And then now later in life, you're doing a lot more comedies. So which one do you prefer? And Vanderbeek says something like, I was born to play comedies. And he's like, oh, well, that wasn't funny. And, like, walked off. And then later he's like, here comes this guy who thinks he's funny. I'm like, you're just being unnecessary dick to him for what was obviously a canned line he had to give anyway because the show's bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of like, screw you at that point, Alex.
Match Game was painful for me to watch. I did not like that.
Yeah, the premise could use just a slight tweaking, and maybe you could get that competitive aspect in there, like something more to chew on, or maybe just less celebrities.
Yeah.
That could be.
Well, to tell the truth, was
our final one,
the last one that we watched.
Yeah,
and this one was hosted by Anthony Anderson.
Yep,
and his mom.
Because on one of the shows he goes, co-hosted by my mom because she's my ride to work every day.
His mom sits in a chair and just says funny stuff occasionally here and there.
Yeah. Whenever a contestant has muscle, she's like, "Ooh, baby, it's number 3. I don't even know, but it's number 3. You see those arms?"
Yeah.
So the idea is that they have 3 or is it 4? They have 4 celebrities that will sit in a judging chair, and then they'll open a curtain and they'll have 3 people come out.
Yep.
And like they'll say one of these 3 people is a Harlem Globetrotter, and then each of the 3 people will one of them will have to tell the truth about being a Harlem Globetrotter, and the other 2 are lying and trying to convince you they're the Harlem Globetrotter.
Yep.
And this is the scenario I watched.
Yeah, this is an actual. That's not a random example. That's actually a thing that happens.
And you had all the celebrities like asking these people questions like, "Hey, what's your signature move, or how much money do you make?"
Yeah,
which seemed offensive. But they're asking all these needling questions, like trying to figure out who is the actual Harlem Globetrotter,
the person telling the truth,
right? And I thought that allowed me as the audience member to also participate in the game in some way, because I was also trying to figure out who was the person who wasn't who was telling the truth. And at the same time, I thought that each of the personalities, the celebrity personalities, got to bring out their personality and how they ask questions, or show a side of themselves that they were smart or considerate or just witty about like whatever they want to say, and like it allowed everyone to shine in a great way.
Yeah. Well, and something else I like about that is you can't fake it on this show. I forget the episode I was watching, but there was one guy for like a whole round. Like he couldn't think of anything funny, and he just looked awful on the show. Like everybody else is really charming and like and all of his answers and his responses were just a little generic.
Yeah.
And it's like, they don't make you look good on this show. Like you have to have like fun conversation.
Oh, one of the liars?
No, one of the celebrities was kind of like generic-ish for like a whole round. I mean, it wasn't bad on the whole show, but there was a time where I was like, you don't look good on the show unless you're, actually have something interesting to say.
The episode I watched had Mel Brooks and Cloris Leachman, which is crazy that Mel Brooks was out there doing a game show. That dude's like 95. Let him rest.
Do you know who was on the one I watched?
Who's that?
Pat Sajak.
Oh.
And
I had Alex Trebek on one.
I mean, Alex Trebek. Sorry, that's the one.
Yeah.
No, that Alex Trebek one blew my mind.
Trebek's a funny guy, isn't he?
Yeah, but just hearing that voice, like asking questions, and
he was the least funny one.
Really?
They had the plus size model lady. She was great.
Yeah, she was really funny.
They had Donald Faison.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, they were all pretty funny.
The one I watched also had Nikki Glaser, who I love, and Michaela Watkins, who I love, and so that was fun. And one of the things was they had to guess who was a monster truck driver, and they had to guess who was a kindergarten teacher by day and a pro wrestler by night.
Nice.
I mean, it is bonkers the stuff they ask these people to do. But it is fun. Like, I would never choose to go out of my way to watch this, but I was dying laughing at some of this because I'm like, what is happening?
Well, the mom, like having his mom on the show really does bring this great element because, with some of these other shows, the host can't carry it, the contestants can't carry it. There's parts where it weans. Mm-hmm. Anytime this show starts to slow down, the mom just says something and you're like laughing again. Like you never really get a second to just sit there and, be bored with it.
Yeah, that seems like it was a pretty smart call on Anthony Anderson's part to be able to bring his mom in as an actual additional element of the show and have her say some of the awkward things that like puts him on the spot. It's an immediate like comfort that he can just kind of fall back on if he needs to.
And he doesn't like fight it or like play against her at all. Like she'll say crazy stuff and he just goes with it. Mm-hmm. Like the episode where he said to the guy, I'll ask my new daddy, is it number 3 or whatever?
Right. Yeah, he had the plus size model was talking about how she had to have certain parts of her body insured, and he was needling her about that. And he's like, "What do you think about that, Mama?" And his mom was like, "Well, my titties, I would have insured them, but after you, they all fell flat or something." And it's like, "Oh, Mom." And I was like, "There's something about that as well that I feel like these older game shows I used to watch. You would watch." Like Rip Torn would be on all of them, or like Hollywood Squares or whatever, and there would always be this sort of seedy element of danger and sexual innuendo that would go on.
Yeah,
and it feels like a lot of people are playing it a lot more safe with like what they say.
Yeah,
and they're a lot more guarded. So, to tell the truth, felt like it was actually like the edgiest, where people felt a little bit more liberated to just kind of joke around to me.
Yeah.
And just in watching the 3 of these all back to back, that one was at least my winner.
Well, it definitely seemed like the one show that was casting its celebrity talent the best. Like the other shows, it's just kind of
play
like,
off each other.
Yeah, or like who are interesting, like Mel Brooks or Alex Trebek. Well, I guess you didn't like Alex Trebek as much, but
he was okay.
But no, like, I don't know. It's like they're picking people who it's like, oh, I like this comedian or I like this person, and they're going to have an interesting conversation. Where the other ones, it's like, oh, who can we find who's a name and people know them?
Right. Well, to tell the truth, this is the one that I would rewatch if I'm going to rewatch any. But I think my favorite was $100,000 Pyramid, just because I happened to catch the one that was Snoop Dogg and Questlove, and that was so ridiculous. And they were both so good at it that I wound up really liking that episode.
I've seen all of the ones this season. The best one, hands down, is the Leslie Jones one.
Yeah,
and that's because they're really good at it. And it does kind of... The episode that you guys watched, like, you knew what the score was. So, like, whenever the team won, they won by a bunch. Mm-hmm. But, like, that game was super close, and the matches went so quick. It was actually pretty entertaining to see them,
I mean, I get why celebrities are popping up in these game shows all the time. It's having your name still out there in the public. It's easy press. I mean, they're already going to have to do interviews where they have to do boring stuff all the time.
Right.
Here they actually get to sit down and play a game. They might even get a little bit paid for it, which compensates as well for them coming on there. But, if they have some movie coming on, they're not actively promoting that, but just having their face out there and them doing stuff like this helps them as well. And
we should start an Electric Sweater game show podcast where we bring on local celebrities.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
We could do that. Let's get Les to moderate.
Yeah.
He could do it.
All right. Well, I think it's time for us to talk, no offense to game shows, but about some real TV here, folks. It's our final round. Ding, ding, ding. Because it's a wrestling match.
Dun, 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 dun.
I get it.
Wah, wah, wah. Glow. We're talking about Glow, Season 2 over on Netflix. 10 episodes, each about 30 to 45 minutes in length. This is the return of the gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
Yep.
Allison Brie and Mark Maron and this ragtag crew of ladies trying to make it. When we left off in season 1, they had just filmed their first kind of episode, and they were finally getting off the ground. And this season, we see them kind of build off of that and play out their first season, quote unquote, of television with their KLD TV or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
KDTV.
Los Angeles local television in the 80s.
Yep.
And
90s.
the struggles they have with trying to grow their audience and dealing with coordination and getting better at making whatever it is they're trying to even do.
Well, and dealing with character conflict, which I think is something this show does amazing.
Yeah.
So what'd you think, Kyle, of this second season?
Second? Oh, man. So... Oh my gosh! Opening remarks. So much pressure. I feel like I'm in a chokehold. Yeah, I'm not going to bury the lead. I love this. I think it's kind of started with a bang. It was also one where Shannon was watching me watch this, and she didn't catch season 1. But I mean, she jumped in on this too, and by the end of it, she's at home rewatching season 1 right now.
Right.
Like we both just, and I mean, me especially, I loved all of the new stuff they set up, but everything they paid off from season 1, like stuff I didn't even, think was a setup, probably wasn't a setup in season 1, but they were able to call back to a lot of things in just really tasteful ways. But the main thing for me is, essentially they're talking about how women are portrayed as like two-dimensional or one-sided characters in television, and especially in wrestling, which is perceived as this kind of lowbrow form of entertainment. But what they do is they give each of these girls like such rich characters and create like meaningful conflict between everyone. And that's really I think the heart of the show is like just getting to see all these individuals and how they interact with each other.
Wasn't it great at the end how you kind of get that stark contrast? Well, spoilers, by the way. We're going to go into spoilers. Starting now. But like where you see the male wrestlers come in on their final episode, and the guys are trying to make fun of the narrative aspects that they're kind of playing through with skits. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, they're so much more advanced with their storytelling than you guys.
Yeah.
Because they're actually engaging people in the long form narrative and then playing it out through these battles. And that's a lot smart. That's just so much more engaging, I think, to the audience, especially like that now that we can appreciate that through our modern lens.
Yeah. I got to say the standout episode for me was easily their one-off called
Episode 8.
Episode 8, The Good Twin.
Yeah.
Where they essentially shot...
They gave us an episode.
They gave us an episode
that
of
was
Glow.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and it was amazing. I kept thinking... Like, this is good, but this could have never been made back then, because it's like somebody producing a show back then who's come, back in time from 2018.
Yeah, there was a lot of like wish fulfillment of what that could have been.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, gosh, this could... I mean, if you made it kind of like a meta thing and you put as much thought and effort to it, a show like this could exist, especially on a Netflix.
Yeah, that was so hokey and soap opera-y.
But
great.
funny, like clever and like... self-aware. Yeah, that was definitely my favorite episode too. That episode 8 was like...
It was like Tim and Eric, if that was good.
The one thing I noticed in watching the second season is how much of the show relies on the 3 leads: Mark Maron, Alison Brie, and Betty Gilpin. Like, they get the lion's share of the stories.
Yep.
But even in that case, every other character has an arc. Like, the only one who I think had like kind of a light arc was Melrose. Mm-hmm. Her arc was, I want to get laid, and this other girl told my jacket. Like, that was her arc. But everybody else had they had either a spotlight episode, like the one that I thought was a great one for Welfare Queen, had like, was it a great episode where we saw her son and we saw sort of the, and I was glad they addressed that, because I was watching this and thinking they make reference to the fact that in the 90s they were not sensitive, like the Arabic girl is playing a terrorist, and she's playing a welfare queen, and they are reinforcing all these negative stereotypes, and they're smart enough and well aware of what the damage they're doing. but they also know that like that's the only way they're going to get an audience, and so they have to make that balance and make that decision for themselves about whether it's worth it or not. And I thought that was really interesting to address head on.
There's a line in season 1 where he's trying to give them, the producer Bash is trying to give them these stereotype names. And he's like, you got to play to type. And they're like, stereotype? And he's like, yes, that. Play to stereotype.
Yeah, I also liked that episode in particular because I felt like I'm blanking on the character's name outside of Liberty Bell, but Betty Gilpin's character.
Yeah.
Oh, Debbie.
How her role as a mother as well as Welfare Queen's role as a mother, how those were compared and slightly contrasted, but mainly just kind of compared how they're struggling to deal with motherhood and this, and in Betty's case, her divorce as well.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was all powerful, and that's the episode where she starts selling her mattress and then she sells everything, right?
Yeah.
No, am I confusing those? That might have been the episode after, because that's when she gets coked up, and then
well, it's interesting to watch her go through this. I mean, we've been set up from the start. Alison Brie's our point of view character, and we love her, but she's been set up as kind of the problem. She's the one who slept with her husband. She was the one who kind of wrecked everything, and she's the one who kind of dragged Betty into this.
But she's a visionary.
At the same time, though, as this season goes on, you see that she's the one who's sort of trying to look out for everybody else. And
a little Annie seeped into this season.
Yeah, a little bit. And then when Betty breaks her leg,
didn't they? Yeah, they tried to make her a lot more lovable this season.
Yeah, they did.
Whereas like last season, she was a bit of a train wreck.
Yeah,
and they just kind of like went, no, character shift.
Well, I think she found her place. I think she found her place in as sort of the den mother of this weird group, and that sort of made her more sympathetic.
Yeah, if anything, I thought it was more interesting last season when Debbie was a little more sympathetic.
Yeah.
Where this season, it's kind of hard to have sympathy for Debbie.
Well, I had sympathy for Debbie up until the point where she breaks her leg, and then you're like, oh, Debbie's kind of a mess. And
I lost sympathy for her earlier than that.
Really?
I felt like she's
the date episode where she kept her late for the edit.
She was like looking out only for her best interest with like the producer credit and like happily kind of closing the door on her. I thought that they were doing an Anna Gunn from or Skylar White from Breaking Bad kind of thing, where they're just trying to make us, the audience, dislike her for a lot of reasons that I'm like, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with her in a lot of this. And if you think about it, that friend of hers who was her best friend only just cheated on her 3 months ago. I don't even know, and ruined her relationship.
That's the thing. Her grudge, like the grudge she has, is deep. But you understand why she has it, and it makes perfect. Like I never found her unlikable because of that. I'm still remembering that. Yeah, that whatever we like Alison Brie, and she's our point of view character, whatever. But she still fucked up her life,
right?
And that was recent.
Well, and that's true, but you've got to. And here's the thing: in real life, you don't keep score. You hold grudges, and sometimes you forgive. But in this, it's like you're looking at how much they're going back and forth and screwing each other over. And at some point, you have to look and be like, "Oh no, she's done her time."
Right?
Like she's gone through the ringer. But I forgot about the episode, which I think might be one of the. Like, if you think of, what would be nominated for, a Peabody Award, an individual episode, the episode that addresses, sexual misconduct in this situation.
Yeah.
Where, and then, sorry for spoiling it, but the setup is that Alison Brie her character's been invited to a work meeting, but she hasn't been invited by one Harvey Weinstein. She was invited by two guys, this producer who she trusted and this guy who was a sexual predator.
Yeah.
Fucking Glenn.
And,
God damn it, Glenn.
But what I love, I'm sorry, I don't love this, but what I think is really powerful about this is it's not that, the boogeyman scenario that everybody imagines. It's like, no, this is a person she trusted who led her into a situation knowing very well what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's almost scarier than the guy in there trying to grope her and feel her up.
She was ready for that.
Exactly.
She was ready for the, and you see, and she visibly relaxes when she sees Glenn. It's like, oh, it's not what I thought.
And then
so she lets her guard down. How
it plays out so uncomfortably and yet unflinchingly.
Yeah.
I appreciate.
The other thing I liked about that is the, they'd gone back to Mark Maron's character where He was very much the jerk in the first few episodes.
Oh
here.
yeah,
and then
we'll talk about that some more in a second.
When we get to the follow through that, where she tells him what happened, and you expect him to be in the same place that Betty was. Like, that's the way the world is. And no, he's not having any of it. He goes and takes his baseball bat to that dude's car, and that's such a great moment because you see that for whatever issues Mark has, he has his own sense of honor, and he has his own sense of protectiveness. And I also love Glenn in that moment where he's like, "It could have been anybody."
Yeah. Well, and I like that he's like, "No, I'm relieved. Like, I didn't know what was going on, but like, this is a relief. Like, he's just an asshole. That's like, our show is great, and this guy's a dickhead.
I can at least deal with that.
Yeah.
I don't like that they are trying to do a love triangle and force this relationship between Mark Maron and
I don't either.
Do you think that's what's
I
going
do.
on?
I think they've got
the writers are doing that.
I think the actors have chemistry, but I think it's a mistake. I don't think they should be doing
I
that.
think it should be much more of to reference another TV show, a Don Draper and Elizabeth Moss, Peggy Olsen kind of relationship where he takes her under his wing, and that's his protege who he fights with, but that ends up pushing her to try harder, and like because he sees the talent in her.
I agree.
I think once they had to make it that he's a sad sack that's like that wants a relationship with her, but like he's already been such an asshole to her. I'm like, I don't want this May December kind of relationship between them either.
Yeah.
And it's just forced upon us, the audience.
Well, I want to talk about Mark Maron's character a little bit.
Okay.
Sam Sylvia. The beginning of this episode, he is just downright despicable at moments.
Yeah, he is.
And, you know, this whole choice to make Alison Brie's character a little more likable, like, you really feel bad for some of the things that he says, some of the things that he does. But by the end of it, they wrap it around to where he's a nice guy and he's kind of back to where he was at the end of season 1.
Their characters are kind of inconsistent to serve the need of the show.
That
a little
is true.
bit.
That is true.
Because I'm like, do we forgive Mark Maron for what he did at the end of the season, or is he just an abusive, you know, drug user?
Oh, he's a mess. He's a total mess.
Yeah, I mean, I think despite all the things that he does that I like, and heck, I just like Mark Maron, so I mean, the performance, but it's like when you look at how despicable, and maybe he's just really good at playing the bad guy, but it's like I think the women who, especially Alison Brie's character, I think she's in it's kind of fucked up that she is still in this situation with him. Yeah. That there might be something more to her that keeps her with her, you know, mentor protege relationship.
Right. I mean, I had if we take an overall look at this season, I feel very similarly about this season as I did the first season, which is to say I did not like the beginning first few episodes of this. I think that it plays out really slow. I think that the ensemble cast, unfortunately for me, is a little bit awkward. I don't feel like they fully know what to do with the gang of them when they're hanging out, and it's almost like they say improvise. And I watch those scenes of the ensemble of ladies, and I'm just like, not feeling it. I think some of the jokes fall flat. Some of the cold opens weren't really good or engaging to me. And like I was just kind of like, this is taking a little bit to get into. And about midway through it, I was fully on board again, which is the same thing that happened with me the first season. Like I kind of liked the first episode of the first season, and then I thought it was kind of spinning around, going all right, and then it got really good.
That's interesting because I had the same reaction I had the first season, which is, and I think I remember this when we discussed it last time, is that I was on board from episode 1 and never stopped. Yeah. Like I love this thing from minute 1, and I do think it gets stronger as it goes along. But I'm so in love with these characters in this world that I am always just on board with the whole thing.
It just feels like it doesn't have the direction of plot until like it nears the end, and suddenly that makes all the characters kind of coalesce behind a cause. Right. And in the beginning, it's all just like, oh, we're just friends and we're hanging out and we're making bad jokes and being awkward. And I'm like, I don't really care. Like, what's the driving force behind all of this? Like, what are you guys trying to accomplish? And it's not enough that them making a show should have been enough, but it didn't feel like there was stress or anything in the beginning first few episodes. I don't know.
Well, I think what they did better in the first season than the second season is creating that conflict with why are each of these characters here? Like, what is it that they're getting out of, either being in show business or being on a TV show? And then once you know what's driving each of those characters, putting them in conflict with each other. So like Melrose, who didn't have a lot to do this season, in the first season, she was making cracks about one of the other girls having a miscarriage, which was downright like despicable when you see it played out. But it's like, that's the kind of person she is. Like, nothing is sacred to her. She'll make this jab even if it's like across the line. And there was a lot of situations like that in season 1. And you're right, this season didn't have any conflict like that. So you weren't really asking yourself, what's the goal here?
The two ladies that were the old ladies that evolved into whatever.
Toxic twins.
Yeah. Ugh. I don't know. Every time they're on screen, I'm just like, you guys are in a different show than everyone else. You're a different tone than everyone else. And it's just like annoying because even when you're not wrestling, you're still acting like those personas that doesn't match anyone else here. Like,
yeah.
They're so annoying that I'm like, you guys should be in a different room.
Well, they kind of set that up that they're hairstylists who their friends tell them that they're funny, so they want to be on TV.
Right.
And that's their whole motivation for all this.
I guess it just doesn't feel like
when you think
makes...
about that person's annoying and you don't want to be around them.
Yeah, I think that is their role. That's what they're supposed to be on the show. Yeah.
There's just other things that were like unearned, or like I love the guy who plays Bash Howard.
Yeah.
I think that like last season I was like, he's all right, and this season his growth, him being the announcer and you kind of hear his voice throughout everything, but also like his emotional growth in all these episodes, I thought they did a decent job. It was a little bit heavy-handed, but his relationship with Florian, and you get the sense that like he hasn't fully come out of the closet yet, and he hasn't understood like why he's so in love with this guy. Like that was handled pretty well. Like it was overt, I thought, when they're like, he died of AIDS, but we're not going to use the word AIDS, but it was AIDS. Audience AIDS.
I actually think that was totally not the way they handled it in the 90s, though.
It was just, I was like, yeah. We get it.
I didn't get that till you just said it. But now I feel kind of like an idiot.
Never mind. Sorry. Well, it wasn't as heavy-handed as I thought.
Well, no, I feel like the relationship was as heavy-handed, but because they say
he died of pneumonia, and we can't. No funeral home will take him.
Yeah,
and all that. And I'm like, you just don't want to say AIDS, but you want the audience to get it.
Well, because they didn't. I mean, AIDS wasn't as much of a thing then, so they didn't always call it that. Like they didn't always know that's what it was. I think that was deliberate.
Oh my gosh, that's why he got his house bleached. I'm such an idiot.
Yeah, and why he broke down crying. What I didn't like about that whole situation was when they cut to Carmen, aka Machu Picchu, and her acting like she had some unspoken relationship with him that I feel like this entire season, except for like maybe one other brief scene, like neglected, and then they expected us to like have some emotional response to that. I was like, no, lazy writers. If you guys wanted us to think like that, she thought she had a relationship with this guy, you had the rest of the season to show us scenes of that evolving.
But that was all in last season.
Exactly. And then they dropped it this season like it wasn't a big deal anymore because obviously he's sleeping on her floor but doesn't have that relationship with her anymore. And she's even helping him trying to find his boyfriend. I thought it was a known thing that she was trying to help him find his boyfriend.
Oh, she knows he's gay. She absolutely knows he's gay.
Does she?
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I mean.
That's why she was sad about the wedding?
I actually think the way she played that was beautiful because, she knows he's gay. She knows he's not going to be happy with this girl. And that's what she's upset about. She's not upset because he's not with her. She's upset that he's putting another woman through this because she's already been through that.
He can have a fake beard of a wife because the marriage doesn't matter anyway because he's going to get divorced, right?
But his beard doesn't know that's what it is.
And she
I think that's what she's. I think that's what she's upset about. She was in that with Bash last season, that she thought they were having a relationship, and then she finds out he's gay, and now she's watching Titanica go through the same thing.
See, that could be a lot better reading of it.
That's how I read it. That's how I read it. I didn't read it as like I didn't realize unrequited feelings from her.
It's not just you. I'm not getting stuff.
It's on levels.
Yeah, I don't know. I can see your argument, but I that's how I read it at any rate. I don't know, but I was like I say, I'm kind of in the tank for the show. Every time I see an episode, I love everything about it. So
yeah, there's definitely if when we analyze it like we are, you can nitpick, and there's stuff that doesn't work. But I think there's more that's working than that isn't working.
I think
at least for these first two
seasons.
Shows.
Yeah, I wish it just clicked earlier on for me, and I was like, once again, I'm like, everyone loves this. Like, why am I not glomming onto this the way I kind of thought I was going to? And then, by the mid-season, I'm just like, yes, on board, next episode. Everything you guys do is great. I love the interactions of every character, and
yeah.
But, this is still one of those shows where I'm like, it's pretty solid. I don't know if this would be like top 10 for me.
It's definitely going to be high up for me. I don't know where it was in my last year's top 10, but it was definitely up there for me.
But with game shows on the menu, it's definitely top 1 for today. Listener question time.
Questions.
As you know, once a week, you guys can put some questions up on Facebook.com/TV Dudes. And you can ask us whatever you want.
Wiki. Is that the new theme song?
Yeah, I'm gonna sing that every week.
Every time, exactly like that.
Pre-recorded.
Exactly like that. Nope. It's got to be live every week, exactly like that.
That's a lot of pressure, buddy. I don't even know what I just said. I think it was kind of garbage, and I stuttered at one point, so no. Kyle Volte's got our first question, folks. He says, okay, since it's only a matter of time for it to be relaunched, who would you have in your dream Hollywood Squares lineup? We have to do 9 people?
So this is easy for me. Community reunion.
Just
there you
all
go.
of them?
Put all 9 members, you put 9 people with Community in there. Ken Jeong is the center square. Because I know he was never that great on Community, but I believe he'd be the good center square.
Yeah.
All right.
Richard Ayoade.
What?
If that's how you say his last name.
Rich Ayoade?
Yeah.
From IT
Crowd with the big afro.
Okay.
Yep, him. Jimmy Carr. Yeah. I'm just thinking of people from like the British game shows that I really like.
the crew of Top Gear.
Oh, those guys would be funny in Hollywood Squares.
I mean, I would clearly have like Roseanne Barr and Bill Cosby,
Tim Allen.
Can we get Donald Trump? That guy was on TV for a bit.
Chuck Lorre.
Yeah.
Just the worst Hollywood squares.
The worst.
You should
throw them into the ocean.
I would do all the actors who have played Spider-Man, all the actors who have played Batman.
Just one row and one row.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire.
Having seen him at ATX Fest, the voice cast from Futurama would be great. Maurice LaMarche, Billy West. All those guys, a bunch of voice actors, that'd be really cool.
That would work for a couple shows like Bob's Burgers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they'd be great. Archer, too, yeah.
Zach McLaren says, it has recently been announced that while the new season of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia will return in September, Glenn Howerton will have a much reduced role in this season.
Aww.
Will the reduced presence of Dennis hurt the show, or do you guys think he'll get along just fine?
They can get along just fine without Dennis.
Yeah, they'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I will be curious to see what they do. Like, is Dennis moved out of town after the end of the season? Spoilers, and so like, is he going to show back up like from out of town just like one episode, or they going to bring him in like via Skype or something? Like what will his reduced presence look like?
I think Glenn Howerton has some balls not coming back to the show.
Yeah,
because I feel like. Even if it's like, oh, he's going to go do his own thing, there's going to be some like retaliatory prank where like Dennis will be there all season as like pedophile Dennis and the police posters. Like that'll be where the Dennis character exists,
right?
Until he comes back to the show.
Yeah, whatever they do, those guys know the balance and the dynamic that character brings, and if they would bring someone else on, it would be someone that would fill what they need a narcissist sociopath like Dennis to kind of fill.
Well, and the great thing about Always Sunny is they're 13 seasons in?
Yeah.
And they've not had a bad season yet. So I have a lot of faith in those guys.
Right. Alec Miracle says, dudes, it's been a long time since we've discussed Lost with you guys. Sad, right? Right?
Aww.
Right, Randy?
Whatever.
Right? Well, here I have shown you a poster for Lost Season 5, my third favorite season of the show, behind 4 and 1.
You just got to give us the whole ranking, Alec. Next time, just tell us all of them.
It's one of my favorite promotional photos for any TV show ever. What are some of your favorite posters from TV? This may require a little digging. Also, P.S., permanent record.
Permanent record.
There we go. Posters for TV.
So I want to say that I decided to do a little Googling on this, and I want to mention that most posters for TV are garbage.
Yeah.
It's like a headshot or one of the cast looking ahead with some type on it. Like, most of them are pretty terrible. But Hannibal had really good ones.
I don't remember those.
Fargo has really good ones.
Like the Fargo stuff.
Game of Thrones, I remember in particular the one with the all the hollow faces, and like each of the characters looks dead, and it's their face on like a little pedestal.
Breaking Bad, that the one where he's like in the yellow suit.
Oh yeah,
the one where he's like the "Say My Name" is over him. Like they give you a sense of the season with those. And also a little intro we never talked about, Banshee on Cinemax. All their posters are like these Art Deco things. They're kind of like what Fargo does, and they give you this sense of the feel of the show, but no specifics about what it's about.
I loved the American Gods season they did on Showtime. All the artwork they did for that was pretty good. And I don't know if this is cheating, but Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, yeah.
Every promotional like title card / poster looked amazing for that.
Yeah, I agree.
There was a show called Black Sails. I want to say it was on Stars. I don't remember watching the show. I'm pretty sure I never did.
Yep.
But I think they had a poster that was pretty rad.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm
I kept
looking at
looking
this
at
thing.
that one. I was like, oh, that was a really cool poster.
Yeah, that was a cool poster.
Jonathan Heptemichael says, hi, dudes. We have had game shows involving grocery shopping, arcade games, and music apps. What crazy premise do you dudes want to see in a game show format? Oh, my goodness.
Kyle?
I've thought about this question a little bit. So my favorite reality show ever is the Joe Schmo Show, where essentially one person doesn't know like the rules to the game. I feel like this concept just needs to be taken to the next level. Like any game show outside of like Boiling Points or like Punk'd, but like something where like the contestant thinks they're on a game show, but they're playing a completely different game than everyone else. And you get like honest reactions of like how they would react in this situation because they think that they're doing, something totally different. I don't know how you would play this game, but I just like the idea that one person doesn't realize they're playing a game.
I want something that is wholly inappropriate. Celebrity drinking game. I just want them to. I just want celebrity shots, celebrity beer pong, celebrity never have I ever, something like that. I would love to watch that.
So, did you guys ever watch the Cube series?
Oh yeah, I did.
The Cube movies.
I thought they were way underrated.
So, the idea is like these strangers wake up in this cube, and it's like whenever they leave that cube on each of the 6 sides, there's a door even up in the ceiling. And if you go out of that, there's another cube. And any of these cubes could potentially be a murder machine, right? But I like the idea kind of playing off of this cube, but not making it murder. Making it a puzzle cube, like you have a person in the vein of like Big Brother or Truman Show. I mean, not Truman Show because they'll know they're in on this. So Big Brother, where you have a camera on them in the cube, and they're just trying to figure out a puzzle, and no one's there to help them, and so they just have to work it out and figure it out before they get to the next room. And this could take as long as it takes. People sign up for this, and it could be quiet. You could hear them thinking. It wouldn't have an announcer or any other annoying things on it. It would just be like this voyeuristic kind of watch them figure out a puzzle.
Kind of like escape rooms.
It's like what I imagine Tara's house to be like.
That's me. I can't escape watching it. Very different. Nick Tice says, Nick Tice. I said that. Okay, Nick Tice. Aha. Hey, dudes. I am loving Alison Brie's over-the-top Russian accent in Glow. What are some of the most entertaining accents you've heard on other TV shows?
So I was trying to think about this one earlier today because I was like, man, I feel like there's got to be some. And I was having a hard time. The only thing I came up with was on Friends. There's a gag where Joey has the worst Italian accent ever, and Phoebe is his agent. She has to tell him this. And he's like, no, this is good. This helps me. I can work on you accente. And it's like the worst. And the stupidity of that cracks me up every time. And that's all I can think of.
My favorite. Whenever I think of like television accents, it's not really a funny one, but what's his name? House. Hugh Laurie.
Oh yeah,
he does a freaking American accent like nobody's business.
Yeah,
he does an American accent than most Americans.
He even goes and does an American doing a bad British accent really well.
Like, oh my gosh, talk about somebody getting paid to do an accent. Like, he earned his check every week.
I can't think of any accents right now.
Right? It seems like there's got to be some, but I have trouble thinking of them.
Yeah, I'm like Jim Carrey's Dumb and Dumber doing the Australian accent.
Jack Donaghy, Alec Baldwin's one-man show where he's therapy session with Tracy Jordan, where he does like the entire neighborhood, including Tracy's dad, Tracy's mom, the white dude who started dating Tracy's mom, and the Hispanic neighbor. Like that is pretty great.
Oh, jeez. Alex Mitchell says, TV Dudes, in honor of this episode's topics, each of you are being tasked to create your own game shows based on a TV show of your choosing. How's it played? How do you win? And what channel does it air on?
Okay, first of all, Grant, it's called Survivor, so just go right past that. Go right past that.
What if Lost was like real but filmed and safe? Done. It's Survivor. It's done pretty well for itself.
It has.
Actually.
It's on its season 300.
Yeah.
I'm piggybacking off of my last answer.
Yeah?
So here's the game show where the person doesn't know they're actually involved. It's going to be like a Making a Murderer, like true crime, evil genius type show where like a person is accused of a crime and we get to watch them as they try to prove their innocence, but really they're not accused of a crime. It's just all amped up for like effect.
Oh, that's so fucked up.
Yeah, so like each week, oh yeah, that's like, you're going to lose your kids. Like, no,
oh my God,
they took my kids away. And they're really at Disneyland, like, and you find out at the end.
We had to stop this person from committing suicide 3 times on this show.
It's like making a person who needs therapy.
Mine is called Ocean Beach, and it's a scavenger hunt in San Diego. And you're given a hunting dog to track down clues.
Well, what type of a dog are we talking?
Oh, it's a terrier.
A terrier.
Nice. I would also do one called Charlie McDennis, or American President from New Girl.
True American.
True American.
True
Is
American.
that what it was?
True American.
Yeah. Jonathan Huffnagel says, "Oh, and this comes with a Westworld spoiler warning. Everyone, did you guys read ahead on this one?
No, go ahead.
This is going to be bad?
No, it's fine.
All right. It says, Dear TV Dudes, it's been a week since the finale of Westworld, and I find myself sad it's over.
Me too.
Time to begin the long wait until season 3. I did not expect a Marvel-like end credit stinger to open the imaginative possibilities in such a wild way. So, okay, this is where it goes into spoilers, so guys, jump ahead a minute if you guys need to. So the Man in Black is in the distant ruined future with a possible robot daughter that has resurrected him as if from a stasis pod. With the rundown buildings as a stark contrast to the usual Old West setting, I couldn't help but think something amusing. It may be time for a series of methodical survival trials. What we all need to do here is have her design an elaborate interchangeable maze with a series of pits, lasers, turrets, buttons, companion cubes, and of course, give that man a portal gun. On that note, any other odd sci-fi plot or environment setups from one TV show you'd love to see employed on a completely different TV show? Interesting. So weird sci-fi. You just want to drop something from some weird sci-fi show into some other TV show.
What was the newer show where the main character was disabled, was in a wheelchair, Speechless? Okay, so you're going to combine that show with the 90s show Mantis, which was about the paraplegic scientist who built a suit that let him be a superhero, but it's going to be the kid from Speechless who like is a crime-fighting vigilante at night in his like exo Mantis suit.
I would watch that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's called speech
Mantisless.
Mantisless, yeah.
I keep trying to think, like, all I can think of is taking the Cylons from Battlestar Galactica and putting them in Alias. So they had all the mind swapping stuff at the end, but I like the idea of Sydney Bristow discovering in like season 3 that her nemesis, the nemesis played by Zoe, played by Zoe from Firefly, whose name I'm blanking on right now, is actually a robot, and that the Cylons have infiltrated, and their whole goal now is to stop the Cylons from destroying the planet.
I want to take the cast of Community and give them the sliders device and just have them jump into a bunch of different worlds, because it feels like that's what Dan Harmon was doing anyway.
Yeah.
He was just like, what if we did a Dateline version of or whatever? Let's do a Pillow Fort challenge. I don't know.
Well, as long as we're doing that, let's take the cast of Always Sunny and put them in The Good Place.
Oh, fuck.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Why, don't you mean put them in the bad place?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I would watch the fuck out of that.
Of course you would. It'd be great.
Because I would watch anything The Good Place.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, one last question. This comes from a Mr. Michael Moody, who says...
I don't know the name.
Moody.
In celebration of the great second season of Netflix's Glow, which launched recently, I'd love to hear what each of your pro wrestling alter egos would be. What would be your wrestling name, personality gimmick, and would you be a face or a heel? You motherfuckers better answer this, or you're all fucking fired. Peace in the Middle East, Mike. Wait,
Mike is
fired from what?
I guess he can fire us. Can he fire us?
No, he's got no authority over us whatsoever.
He's our own Mark Barron.
He's our benevolent overlord.
He's being a real heel right now.
That's at least what I thought when I was washing his cars this weekend. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be doing this stuff.
That's right. Wait, did you not use the toothbrush to detail it? No wonder he's so mad at us.
You know what? His new wrestler name is Power Trip, I think. I don't know what that's about.
We should give names for each other. Like, that's the rule, is we come up with names, but we can't do a name for ourselves.
I like it.
So, let me see.
Okay. So, how about we do this, where, like, you guys pair off, you come up with one for me, and then we'll go and pair off for Kyle and then Randy.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So, let's do Grant first.
So Grant, he's a beerist.
He's a brewer.
Yeah.
He's not a brewer. He's a drinker.
Yeah, he's a drinker. He's done the homebrew before.
I have done the homebrew.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I drink.
And sometimes he throws the sour faces at us.
Yeah.
You know, just like the like the sour mash. He could be the
sour smash.
The sour smash.
The sour
smasher.
The sour smash.
The sour smash.
What do I do?
Smash.
You scowl at the audience and you scowl at your opponents. You're
like I'm scowling at you now.
A heel, yes, like that.
You guys are just gonna settle on this one,
yes,
and you just spit sour beer in their face.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, so my move is to spit beer that I've just been like storing
like a chipmunk in your cheeks.
Yeah. in the cheeks. Yeah, that way you can still breathe.
That's filthy.
That's it.
That's why I'm a heel.
You're a sour smash.
You're a heel.
All right.
Yeah.
So what do we got for Randy?
So
okay, comic books.
Yep. Karaoke.
Yeah. Although
you don't have much hair on your head.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's just me. I'm just being observant here.
Yeah. Let's move on.
You're being mean.
Play a lot of games.
Yep. Plays role playing games.
Like
plays,
board games.
Board game.
Let's see. Tabletops.
He could be the table topper.
That works.
He's gonna flip the table on you.
Shit! Instead of like pulling out a chair and hitting someone on the back, you pull out a full-on table.
I carry an actual table, a
card table that you just break on people.
I got room for 6, baby.
Am I a face or a heel?
I don't know. I guess that could kind of go either way.
Yeah, you'd switch back and forth.
Oh, okay.
Like sometimes you're here for fun, other times you're here to like, end the game.
Teach all the rules.
I think you would start off as a hero and then you'd go bad.
I'd have a heel turn.
Yeah.
As they say.
A heel turn.
All right. That leaves a Kyle.
That leaves Kyle.
Kyle, what do you know about Kyle? Kyle's from the Midwest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kyle's Midwest. He's tall.
Yeah, he's tall. Of the three of us, if one of us is going to wrestle, Kyle's the one that's most likely going to survive it.
Aw, thanks, guys.
He's a little bro-ish.
I'm a little
you wear
stocky.
You wear hats.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So what do we know about the Midwest? There's corn there.
Corn.
There's corn there.
How did I know you guys were going to go in this direction?
Isn't there a game that you play?
Cornhole.
Yeah.
He's a cornholer.
He's the cornholer.
You're the cornholer. That works.
Although, if somebody named the cornholer came after me, I'd be pretty intimidated.
Yeah. He like spanks his opponents with corn.
Is he a good guy?
I think he's a good guy.
Named the cornholer.
Yeah. He's a good Midwestern boy.
I'm a corn stalker.
I feel like there's no way a good guy's named the cornholer.
Well, that's because he doesn't know what it means. He makes it.
We could call you the corn stalker, but I feel like that's definitely a bad guy.
Different. Yeah, that's definitely a bad guy. Yeah.
All right, so what's he do? He throws an ear of corn at people?
I think he uses ear of corn. Like he got ear of corn nunchucks. He can like, spank people with ear of corn.
He hands out popcorn to the audience.
Hands out popcorn to the audience. Yeah.
I like hold like a stalk of corn in my hand, and then I shake and get angry, and then they just start popping off the like off the kernels just start popping in my hand.
You
guys,
cornholed.
So no one's going to come to our wrestling match?
No one's going to come to these wrestling matches.
The gorgeous TV dudes of wrestling?
Missed opportunity. Okay. Guys, I think we're going to wrap it up there. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And next week, I hope you listeners are ready for more game show time. I'm kidding.
September 19th, that's going to be an all-game show
all
week.
Game shows.
We're just going to be reviewing public access television shows.
Might be if you guys have suggestions, now's a good time to make suggestions.
Yeah.
Oh, man. There's still so much TV out there.
Yeah.
We just need to stop turning our nose at it.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to be reviewing Big Bang Theory.
Nope.
Oh.
We're going to watch every episode of House.
Oh, shit.
And review each one.
I'll do that. I was a House fan.
All right, folks. We're heading out. We love you guys. Thanks for all the support. And we will be back next week. Until then,
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @tvdudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.